Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Power Network. I'm Amy. It's Live Miss Day 5, and today we're getting into something I've been honest about from the start. Dr. Yawn has never sat right with me. So today we're looking at the many faces of Dr. John. Was he ever the golden doctor, the good doctor, or was that image always a facade built through titles used as deceptions and resumes padded just enough to sell authority? Hmm? So that's what where we're headed tonight. I'm rolling the intro while the algorithm brings in the rest of the power crew. Shout out to my dragonflies and my replay crew. Love you, babies.
Cavalier's drumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude. Your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Here in the essence of gratitude, it's great to be here with my power crew on Live Miss Day 5. How's everyone doing? I've been wanting to talk about Dr. John for a while. I've been talking about him here and there, and I'm so glad to see other people are talking about him. There's been a lot of discussion about him the last few days, so lots to get into. Hi, everyone. Hello. It is so good to see everyone in chat. Are you having a good break between the end of the year? It's always a slow time for me, the week between Christmas and New Year's. I'm always like really tired and really introspective and just I don't know, thinking a lot. And but I guess that's what the end of the year is all about, because there's a lot of stuff, like you see a lot of stuff talking about like 2025 in review, and then a lot of new talk about what's going to happen in 2026. So just a lot. Never really have enjoyed this actually this week between. I was thinking about this too, and it's crazy because as a kid you get the week off and you're so, you get to play with your toys, but I never really liked it because I felt like I was waiting for something. I felt like we were waiting for the next, I guess, New Year's Eve or the party, or I don't know. But anyway, but that's how I've been feeling. Plus my back's been bothering me. How do? Okay, guys. So, how are you feeling about Dr. John? I do need some toys. I need something fun to do. Been wanting to get outside and do more. I have this little spot where I go sit and meditate. It's right on a channel. The only bad thing is it's like right by a busy road, so I hear the cars constantly, but at least I get in a little nature. It's a boating launching place. So okay, Dr. John, let's get into it. Let me get my screen all situated. While we're doing that, if we could just get the algorithm dance party that I like to do and just warm up your fingers and dance them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button, helps me go out into the algorithm. Um, by doing this, you guys don't realize it just helps channels out tremendously when you hit the thumbs up button or when you share it out into your onto your socials. So anything you can do for me, it's really, really appreciated. And I really appreciate, and yeah, I really appreciate it. Okay. What do we want to start with first? What do we want to start with first? Oh, actually, I want to start off first talking about this post that I put up on my channel. I saw it appeared over here on Reddit, and I wanted to make it clear that I don't know who struck my channel. I really don't know who did it. It's simply by a company by the name of, after I did some videos on the Mormon Church, I got struck by this company by the name of LDS. It's just, that's it. That's all I can know who it is. If I want to dispute it, then I have to put in a claim, and that will be the only way I can figure out who LDS is. I have to give all of my contact information to get all of their contact information. And I'm going to try to contact a company to see if they will do it for me, because there are companies that will submit disputes for you. And I want to be clear, this is only a video. This is only a video on police body cam. It's strictly 100% police body cam video of the Idaho 4 case when they released the inside of the house, the police body cam. That's all it is. And the day after I was talking about the Mormonism church and doing some stuff on that, I got struck by a company, a channel, whatever, claimant by the name of LDS. I don't know who's doing it. I'm not trying to pull a Grayson and a dental thing and think that, my dentist is in on it, or, I don't know who this is from, but I just think it's weird. I think it's really weird. And over here on Reddit, somebody had said something like I was doing it for attention. This doesn't really add up. A valid YouTube strike requires more than just LDS. It has to include a real claimant. Yes, it does, but you have to give your information in order to get that information. And I'm just so over the, like, you're telling the truth on something and people are like always forever gaslighting your truth. It's just, I'm like, ugh. Anyway, I'm glad I'm getting to the point where I don't care what other people think, but sometimes things just rub me wrong, especially when, like, you're not trying to do any of these things. This person says the LDS church would also have to show that, and I'm not saying I don't know if it's the LDS church, would have to show they actually own the content. Yes, they would. And that it would be how I would have to get into the dispute. And do I even want to do the dispute? Because it's just strictly police body cam, and whoever is doing this is strictly doing it as a fishing expedition for my contact information, my personal contact information. Without that, it would meet the YouTuber's own requirements, which makes this feel unrelated, or like someone's trying to feed a conspiracy narrative rather than a legitimate claim. Now, I don't understand. Unless they're saying that this is somebody just, messing with me, which that could, that's another option. I put all of the options. I don't know who it is. LDS, like, when I first saw it, it just kind of made my heart stop for a second, because I was like, LDS, that's Latter-day Saints, isn't it? And then I thought about it all day long, and I decided to bring it to my channel, to talk to you about it, to see what you thought about it. I didn't put it over on Reddit. I just put it up on my channel. And so I feel like I'm really not trying to further any type of narrative. I'm just trying to understand. So first, I just want to clear that up. And I still don't know what LDS stands for yet. And I have 30 days to do this. And it's like, and of course I got it on a Saturday, and then, or a Sunday, whenever I got it, what's today? Monday? Like it's like the holidays. I didn't even realize it was Sunday yesterday. I was trying to call on some bill stuff yesterday. I'm like, why is nobody answering? Because I know like they gave everybody the 24th off and the 26th. I'm like, what is this another holiday that I don't know about? And it's like, oh, it's Sunday. It's Sunday. But anyway, I've got 30 days, and of course, this is happening around the holidays. So anyway, I'll let you guys know. I will keep you up to date on it. But I want you to know that I'm not a Grayson. I don't think my dentist is out to get me. I don't think the LDS church is out to get me. I just think it's weird. It's just weird. And plus, I'm a Scorpio, and I think I'm paranoid. I think everything's weird. Like, um, I've got like instincts that just like if something's weird, like I'm a cat. If a sock is moved in a room, something's wrong. Like something's different. What's different in this room, right? So it's just, yeah. Greetings from South Carolina, from Cameron, North Carolina. See, I always mix up North Carolina and South Carolina. I'm in Florida. Where are you guys all from? Is it cold? Is it warm? I had a weird experience this morning. I've never seen fog like this. I looked on I've got a camera on outside of my house, and I got like a ding. And so I figured there's some raccoons that have been hanging out there. I thought maybe it was the raccoons. And I went to look, and it was like, it looked very weird. It looked like, and I'll probably show this on on Sundays we get a little more spiritual, soulful, but it looked like angels standing, and I'm sure it was just like the fog crystals playing on the light, but it looks like angels standing in my lawn. And then I turned on the camera to look at it, and I thought it was snowing. It looked like it was snowing. I took some video of it too. It looks like it's snowing, and I was like, well, is it raining? And I opened up the door and I put my hand out there, and I was videoing it the whole time. And no, it's not. It wasn't raining either. Is fog like when on cameras? I guess I've never seen it, but I've always assumed that it just looks foggy on cameras, but it looks like literal snow on camera. Has anyone else noticed that? Have you ever looked outside and thought it was snowing or raining, and no, it's just fog that looks like it's snowing? And then your camera, because it's not set up to take video. It only takes pictures. And then before, the alert to all of this is that it looks like there's angels standing on your lawn in a photo. Like, I don't know. I think the world's something weird. I think stuff is happening in the world I don't know. I got a faulty camera. Anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into Dr. John. Enough of the woo-woo talk. So I was looking, so my background, for those that don't know about me, I have my BA in sociology and psychology, and I've worked as a social worker for most of my life in various capacities, usually with women and children. So, and I only have my BA, so that's a 4-year degree. I was working towards my CAC, which is a certified addiction counselor, but I didn't get that. I didn't ultimately end up getting it, so I never really include that in there, but I did work towards that for a while. But so those are the areas that I kind of know about. I haven't been practicing for like 10 years, so I don't really, I mean, and I feel like in order to really be up to date on stuff, you have to be, reading and maybe taking some courses. And I have not been doing any of that. In fact, the last time I used the DSM, they were on a 4, and now DSMs are on a 5. That's it's a psychological assessment tool that people use, and so now they're all the way on a 5. So I am behind. I will, like I say all that to let you know exactly where I am, but I do have some like legit background in working in social sciences. We'll say that. Okay. So, and Dr. John has always interested me. And when I go in and I I know like a lot of the ex Hidden Gems said that they would listen to this for Dr. John for his, uh, expertise, and they're very good at playing up who Dr. John is. They're very good at a lot of word salad and making him seem like he's really legit. But when I would listen to his analysis, like even I was like, wait a minute. And I would like, if I didn't know better, I probably would go along with it because he's got his books and he's got his resources, and she makes sure to let he graduated from Princeton. But I think back to all the Yahoo doctors that I worked with, all the people that had their masters and doctorates, and the weirdos, and you just don't know and I say that too because I was doing my weird shit too. I am right up front with you guys. I was a wild child from day one to like these days. I'm trying to calm my ass down and do exciting things by, like exploring and this kind of stuff, right? So I say that to say that I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I will say, because my fingers are pointing right back at me, but I will say that I've worked with some crazy ass psychologists and doctors and professionals and, lawyers. I've partied with police officers. They're just, I say all that to say they're just people. And people can put on a good show. They can, even one time I could probably have stood up and put on a good show. I just don't feel like putting on a show anymore. I don't care, like, if you see my ass anymore. Like, I'm tired of putting on the show. I feel like this is the best thing age has ever done to me, is like, it's okay to show your ass. Like, I don't care if you see my ass anymore because I see yours too, right? How about that? So, like, but with Dr. John, he's still, and Lauren, she uses her, like, she's for realsies. She's a for realsy journalist, not one of those fake tourist journalists. If I ever get to a trial, I swear I am wearing a trial tourist t-shirt of some sort. And you guys will know what it is. But they use their titles to make people think they're something, and people do think they're something. That they do. People do. People still believe that there's something. And I don't say all this to throw away education and knowledge and experience, because certainly I could probably, do better at maybe helping someone socially along than, say, somebody who went to school for literature or something, right? But still, I don't feel like I should be propped up in any way. And I feel like these people feel like they should be propped up, especially Dr. John. And I'm not jealous. Let's not go there. I'm not jealous of these people. Actually, I feel quite sad for them. Like I could be doing what they're doing if I wanted to. I could be sitting up here, putting myself up as a professional and doing the psychosocial babble. But I don't think anybody should be doing that on the internet, to be quite honest with you. And nobody, especially that if they're still practicing, if they're still helping people out there. But that's just my opinion. And here we're free to have varying and differing opinion. I'm not here to make you believe what I believe, and you certainly aren't going to make me believe what you believe if it doesn't ring true with me, right? So I say that to say that everything is, this is all my opinion for educational and entertainment purposes only. We urge you to go out there and do your own research. Everything that we view today, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. I do this to cite our sources and for fair use. Today, we're coming to you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Let me see what you guys are saying, because that was like, I feel like that was a big soapbox that I got up on. But that's how I feel. They stroke each other's egos. They sure do, don't they, Stella Bella? Nope, they're not ethical. I wouldn't call them ethical at all. I have a PhD and have spent a good many years around academics and I don't even know what that word is, boffins. Believe me when I say a PhD is not an automatic pass to be called intelligent. No, it is not. And it doesn't mean, also, it doesn't mean like a lot of people are book smart, but they're not like street smart or common sense smart or, you know, vice versa. So, he's a pontificator, not really a psychologist. I love that word, pontificator. Blowhard pontificator. It will say this video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It just said LDS. So I cannot find out who LDS is until I give them my information. Which, I mean, YouTube really needs to change the way they do things, because that's ridiculous, isn't it? Hello, Ruth Ann. I'm on my phone visiting with stepdad right now, then store. Oh, you're shopping? Well, thank you for listening while you're out and about. And say hi to dad. I feel like I already know you. Ah, that's so sweet. I feel like I know you guys. I'm so happy. I mean, this is one thing that they've done for me. I've found all of you. Beautiful mid Tuesday morning here, expecting 77 degrees Fahrenheit today. Did you say you're in Australia? Because that doesn't, well, you're having your summer in Australia, right? Or were you the one that said you were in England? I can't remember. Need to find out what for principle, why specifically is important to follow up. Okay, so over here on Reddit, Dr. Jack of all trades, Dr. John Matthias. I thought this was interesting because he is a jack of all trades. I think you really need to be careful about, you know, saying that you can do all this, but he's offering, this was on July 26, 2019, offering in St. George and Las Vegas, individual therapy, couple therapy, victims of trauma abuse, PTSD, and faith crisis, which, I mean, that's not like when you, sorry, I'm trying, I think my 2026 resolution is to try to get rid of like. I think I'm going to do a like jar, like a swear jar, because yuck. Psychosexual evaluations, substance abuse evaluations, bariatric surgery evaluations. Why would he be doing bariatric surgery evaluations when it's quite plain to see that he has his own eating issues? Well, I mean, okay. Collaborative therapy assessments, violence risk assessment, domestic violence risk assessment, expert witness testimony, performance sports assessment, performance sports psychology, and leadership assessment, 360-degree feedback, leadership development coaching. So these were all the areas of expertise that our Dr. John did. And I thought this was interesting too. There's a list of students and descriptions. So part-time practicus therapist, fact, Las Vegas, Nevada. He was from 2007 to 2008. And then 2008 to 2011. Pre-doctoral practicum student. Fact, he was a supervisor from 2014 to 2017. He was a practicum experience from 2015 to 2017. his doctoral student. This was a fact too, from 2017 to 2018, student clinician from 2020 to present, a doctoral practicing student, private practice of John Matthias. Oh, he's got a private practice still? I thought it was just coaching he had. He's served attorneys on behalf of their clients of the Nevada Attorney General. I find it interesting how John's title changes as the years go on. He also started to call himself a certified forensic examiner from 2021 onwards. Does this mean anything? I don't know. Also of note is from the 2023 to 2024 practicum site description from UNLV, he states that he has been a forensic psychologist for over 20 years. Like we went over that. His experience is going down instead of going up with the years, which is very strange. To me, the only thing I can think of is that the only reason it would be changing is that, like, sometimes you're doing these things and you don't know the proper words for them. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. It's hard to believe that a professional would do this, but I think it's important for us to all see this, to realize that there are many professionals out there that are not perhaps so professional, in my opinion, only. Also of note, in my humble opinion, is what looks like a demotion from clinical director and then an employment gap between 2011 and 2014. The good doctor has many gaps in his educational and employment history. Just saying. It is a red flag when there's gaps like that. What do you think the gaps were about, especially for a man? You know, you see gaps because women take time off to raise kids or have their babies or do whatever. Is that what he was doing? Because we know that he is like doctor. Well, wait, when was their son born? He's 8, right? So it would have been, that would have been before his son was born. I can't believe I watched these people every day for years. You know, I was thinking about this the other day, like the way I feel about how our world is going and how I feel like completely duped about our systems that we have in place, especially like the political system. I'm from the United States, and you know, we were raised. I was, you know, I've had a lot of pride in our country, and to find out, you know, that maybe our country, well, anyway, I don't want to get political, but I feel duped. And I was thinking, like, if I feel duped as a Gen Xer, how must the boomers must feel like their whole entire lot, you know, anyway. But yeah, and then when I think about the gems, I think about that duping and like just supporting and putting your trust into people and then finding out that this is the way it goes. And y'all should check out Andrew Vandersloot on YouTube. No stuttering, no long pauses, no listing page numbers, no taking 30 minutes to get a 1-minute idea across, no glaring, no tongue crap, and no patronizing BS. Compare his take on the refiner versus Dr. John. I think this person is somebody that emailed me because they wanted me to compare Vandervaart. But I got to be honest, he kind of bores me too. He's kind of slow, and I don't know. And not to say that I need somebody to do a song and dance and entertain me, but I I don't know. I need more. I actually like the behavioral panel, and I really like Chase from the behavioral panel. I know that, Lauren in her new text messages think the behavioral, and we're going to get into those sometime during Live Miss, but I know Lauren thinks that they're crap. But I mean, I think it's always funny when somebody who believes in, let's just say, a spiritual system like Mormonism, and has the nerve to laugh at another system that may be more of the woo woo, for lack of a better word, nature. I just always find that amazing. So, okay, so all right. So you believe in tablets and 144,000, but you think it's weird that you could pick something up from somebody's body behavior. Okay. Okay. You know? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Master of all trades, master of none. I am new to your channel, but not new to hidden gems. May I ask what blew them up? I had to move away from them because I couldn't stand his laughter. It became too uncomfortable. Well, the 9.5 hour live, I blew it all up. And I have an introduction to what started all of this, if you're interested. Um, but I would say the 9.5 hour live. And then when Dr. John came up with his 3.5 hour follow up, or I'm 3.5, 4 hour. I don't remember how long his was, but his was the first one I covered, and it took me, yeah, I think it was 3 hours, and it took me 5 hours to get through it. And his thought experiments and his comparison to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and I never realized, well, I didn't know much about him anyway, but he's such a fanboy to Hollywood, which is concerning. But anyway, I think that's what did it. The behavioral panel is not credible. I like Chase the most out of the behavioral panel. In fact, I follow him on his own channel. I don't follow the other behavioral panels like I do Chase. Chase talks at length about building a picture based on more than just one incident, and the importance of considering a person's baseline characteristics. That gives him much more credibility. I agree. And he talks about just not believing what your eyes tell you. You have, and what your ears tell you. You have to evaluate the whole situation. And I really appreciate the knowledge that he imparts. And also, I find it fascinating that he has that brain issue, and that he's actually curing it himself through he's curing it himself through, he's the one I now take heavy doses of, and this is, go see your doctor, and I'm not giving out any medical advice, but now I take heavy doses of melatonin, and it helps me out tremendously. And I didn't do it because I have fibromyalgia, and I always thought, oh, I shouldn't do it because of that. But in doing the research, is just wonderful. So it's wonderful for your brain to give it that relaxation, and it helps me sleep, and it helps with my anxiety. So yes, he does. Yes, he does. And he's curing it with it's this blue dye that our government use. It's actually a literal blue dye, and it is so cheap but our government doesn't tell us about it. I can't think of the blue. I'm not very good. I didn't expect to describe this, so I didn't read it before I started talking about it. So just, take it for a bad description for what it is. But yes, and I just really, he takes into account the spirituality of it all, and he talks about like our government and how governments and how they are covert opping us, and and MK Ultra is a thing, and I don't know. And it's not just conspiracy bullshit, in my opinion. But anyway, that I got off topic. Sorry. Getting back to this. So Excited Utterance has been talking about Dr. John Matthias, and they brought out some court records, found Matthias either misunderstood or manipulated the discovery. We're going to get into that, and we're also going to get into one of a content creator that I really enjoy. Katie from Rabbit from the Closet. It used to be a different, she used to have a different name, so I'm still relearning. I'm relearning her channel name. I worked with her a little bit on the Gypsy Rose case, but she's a psych nurse, and she discusses John Matthias, his history, and so we're going to get into that. So that's my plan for today. And then if we have time, I have a few other things that I want to talk about too. So yesterday, every day with Jay went through the court documents, and we're going of Excited Utterance, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to use this video, it's 26 minutes to go through Excited Utterance. Everything that we talk about, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. We do this to cite our sources and for fair use.
So I'm just going to kind of go.
I will start and stop this and talk over it. This is a commentary channel. Again, all the notes, all the show notes will be over there if you want to watch it without my commentary.
Go through this a little bit, and then we have a podcast that Dr. John did that I found with AM radio ESPN. Anyone ever seen this? Hello, Germany. Not surprised at all. Did you see the footnote? He's a liar. Hella broke everything. She is, Michelle. She is. All right. So we have this court docket. United States District Court, District of Nevada, United States of America versus Richard Fred Dittmer III, who is a horrible, horrible pedophile. I mean, when I say horrible, this guy's done horrible, horrible things. It says the undersigned counsel certified that this response is timely filed. So we're going to look at what this guy did a little bit. So he committed sexual crimes against children on at least 4 occasions. He didn't stop.
Now, is this the guy? Is this the reason that over on TikTok we see Christina? I saw Christina. Christina is the OG stalker. Apparently, there were a lot of stalkers in the stalker crew, but Christina rose to the top that June day and became stalker number 1, OG stalker. And she has a TikTok up that says, truth has a way of coming to the surface. In 2021, my ex-friend's husband, a licensed psychologist, petitioned the court for leniency for a convicted child S offender. For me, he petitioned the court for the harshest punishment, jail time, and an ankle monitor despite no crime. Let me emphasize, they tried to take me, a mother of 4, away from my children despite no wrongdoings on my part.
Look how they shine for you.
That is Christina's post. And Christina, I get it. I understand it. I hear you. I agree with you. And I've said this. It just like oh gosh. It's alarming to me that this person, this doctor seems to me like he wants to put people behind bars, and he's a criminal. So that means he's working for the defense side. And yet he's trying to, instead of help people, he's trying to put them away. He's trying to put a mother of 4 on a tether and get her involved in the legal system for the rest of her life. This is what it has always alarmed me. I don't trust somebody who uses their degree in that way. Sure, against S offenders, put them away. But you want an S offender out and this person away? That's on par for John Matthias, in my opinion. I mean, very on par. This is another one she did. This is basically how her year went. So I love that she's posting again. This is what her holidays look like.
That could be the biggest regret of your life.
I wish we could play the music, but it says randomly I think about and just laugh about how between April and September my name was apparently being floated in all kinds of situations and contexts, attached to shifting labels and narratives that kept changing when the last one didn't stick, all while I was just living my life and living it fully. Seattle for work, the Bahamas for a friend's 40th, Lake Powell with extended family, then thanks to years of saved points, London, Windsor, the Cotswolds, Burton on the Water, Warwick, Prague, Poland, Vienna, Salzburg, Munich, Cologne, and Amsterdam. So imagine Lauren's year 2025, and this Christina just, saw the world. She just sort of saw the world. But I don't believe that she wasn't stressed out about this. This must have been like really stressful, but it's really amazing and impressive to me that she was able to still celebrate her life and know that what is important is her family, her friends, and not stupid Lauren Turd and Dr. Jan, who are probably the most miserable, and Grayson too. And Grayson too, and their little dog Grayson too. But if it wasn't for LM's 9-hour temper tantrum, no one would be wise. No one. No. But maybe this is what they wanted, Their big cases were over, and, I'm sure they didn't think it was going to go this way. But people get addicted to chaos, and maybe things were slowing down too much for her. Warwick and the Cotswolds are lovely to visit. I've never been to is it Cotswolds? I've never been there. Oh, Christina. Well, I've never been to half those. I don't know. I have to say, I don't think I've been to a lot of those places, but I want to. Christina has an amazing life. Yeah, so amazing. I'd love to live that life. Look at that. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to Dr. Jan. Get back in there. Get back there in there and watch Dr. Jan, you kids. No more watching fun old Christina. Here we go.
When he was investigated for child CSAM material in 2014 and said he was emboldened. This guy recreated his child pornography collection and distributed it over the BitTorrent network. He didn't stop his conduct after he was caught in 2016 for distributing CSAM material to a freaking undercover detective. Instead, he escalated when he forced his 7-year-old relative to touch him. He did not stop his conduct after he was indicted for crimes against children, and he was granted pre-trial.
That is a good compliment. Human confetti. Yeah. I mean, I said we all need a Christina in the friend group because she's the one that keeps it lively. I appreciate friends like Christina because I'm like a bump on a log. Like I love doing things, I really do, and I'm like, if I have the money, I'm the friend to call on a moment's notice because I'm the one that will go across country with you on a moment's notice, and I have done it. But I need to be ejected from my house. It's usually not going to be my idea to do it, right? So I appreciate people like Christina. I really do. Friends like Christina, I should say.
Released in 2018. In 2018, when he got out, he targeted a 13-year-old girl online. Hold on. And tormented her to create CSAM abuse material. He did not stop his conduct after he was charged with superseding indictment and detained. To this day, Dittmer III still attempts to commit sexual crimes against children, even while in custody.
And he recommends, see, okay. I do not, I feel like child as predators should get just as a hefty sentence as murderers. I feel like they're in the same freaking, you don't accidentally do that to a child. You don't just fall onto something like that. And all right, let me just hear what they're saying. Before I say anything else.
So this Dittmer guy was looking for a 17-year sentence instead of the government's 27-year sentence. Okay. So he was trying to get 10 years off. Okay. So he's a repeat sex offender. He says that there's a misconception that this is his first criminal offense, that he learned the behavior from his parents, and that he's low risk for contact SA.
Right.
In reality, Dittmer III is a repeat sex offender against children. Hey, Hex, he and he alone is responsible for his illegal conduct, and he is of high risk to reoffend. This court should reject Dittmer III's invitation to apply a total 396-month variance from the applicable guideline range. So they're asking for 27 years. Hey, F. S'more, thank you for becoming a cooter today. So he's trying to get this guy a lesser sentence. You got to have some pretty effed up morals, professional morals, to do this. Knowing how dangerous this guy is.
I don't think I could, I don't know. I have a hard time separating myself with child as predators. I did intakes, and I have to tell you, I don't remember having to do it on any predators because I worked in substance abuse. But it's so interesting to me, people that want to be a counselor for that type of for those type of behaviors. And it has been proven that they have such high reoffender rates that I just don't, at this point, and this is just my opinion, I don't know if that type of behavior can be cured without some type of medical castration or something like that. I just, it's such a high reoffending rate.
And remember, yes, coach, I was just going to say that. Remember, he said that he decides if they get out, if they're, safe to get out. It's very concerning. I mean, this just got to a whole new serious level. So on July 20th of 2020, Dittmer III, which is the pedo, provided the psychosexual evaluation authored by John Matthias to the government. Matthias summarized the family court documents in his view in the psychosexual evaluation. The government reviewed the report and considered it when negotiating the terms of the plea agreement. Can you believe this guy's even getting a plea?
No.
On September 13th, 2021, Dittmer III filed his sentencing memorandum. At that time, Dittmer III provided the government with over 200 pages of family court documents. The records discussed his evaluation as a child. Let's see. We're going to just skip forward here. On September 30th, the United States Marshals informed the parties that Dittmer received multiple photos that appeared to be CSAM images, as well as copies of multiple minor girls' magazines while in custody in Nevada. He's in jail and he's getting magazines with minor girls in them. How does that happen? How does that happen?
It happens because our system is so broken, and we've got psychologists, doctors like Dr. John who advocate for him. It just like, I feel sick about it. I feel sick.
The staff intercepted and confiscated the materials and provided them to the government. The government reviewed the material and observed approximately 200 age-difficult erotic photos. What does that mean? 5 select images are described below. This is while he's in jail, and John thinks he should get out. A girl who appears to be 16 to 18, completely naked on a couch. She is positioned on her elbows and knees, while a naked adult male appears to penetrate from behind.
What?
The girl appears to be in pain from her facial expression. Oh my God.
And he advocated for him?
Oh my.
I just.
God. The total number of age-difficult erotic images is greater than 200.
Where did Excited Utterance get this from? Bright Breakfast over on Reddit?
A girl who appears to be 15 to 16 is standing topless, only wearing what appears to be a young girl's underwear.
And he advocated for him?
.com. Two
I know
girls
I keep saying that, but what?
15 to 17 depicted together. One is wearing black booty shorts and a bralette with a fake police badge.
Oh no.
The second girl is wearing pinstriped underwear and a bralette with the term gangster girl across her chest. The image contained the title midgets with the caption, "They're just like the shorties you used to date, but without that annoying pedophile label." A girl 13 to 15 kneeling on what appears to be a child's bed. She has her hair in a side ponytail and has braces. Oh, I'm not even reading that. I'm not. Oh my God. The bottom of the picture contained the watermark, 2 cupcakes image, Cindy Cupcakes. I'm going to throw up. This is terrible. There's the freaking.
How can he advocate?
Girls World is developed for girls ages.
I'm going to move it forward, you guys. I think we get the idea.
Bias also heavily relies upon this unsubstantiation. And they're saying it doesn't contain.
The family court records do not support an additional 120 months. Oh my God.
Insufficient indicia of reliability to support its probable accuracy and should be disregarded. Dittmer III relies upon his mother's unsubstantiated claim of SA to argue for a lower sentence. Dittmer III's hired hand, this is where John comes in, Matthias, also heavily relies upon this unsubstantiated history of SA and finds Dittmer III as a low risk for SA. Studies have shown that the, quote, excuse making may be more prevalent in settings where such behavior may be useful, such as in the early stages of therapy or during the trial process. The government asked that the court give no weight to Matthias's opinion as to Dittmer III's recidivism risk, as it lacks sufficient indicia of reliability to support its probable accuracy. Oh my God. So here it says, the psychosexual tests used by Matthias lack sufficient indicia. Well, it says that again. It's just repeating it. Okay, so estimates of recidivism, are bound to be too low when one is dealing with underreported crimes such as sex offenses. Static 99 treats as a recidivist only someone who is convicted of a further sex offense. But the recidivism concern is with someone who commits a further offense, whether or not he's caught. Yet, if he is not caught, his subsequent crime does not affect the data on which the static 99 calibrations are based. Matthias incorrectly scored all.
I'm going to go back. It says the Seventh Circuit has observed that estimates of recidivism are bound to be too low when one is dealing with underreported crimes such as sex offenders. Static 99 treats as a recidivist only someone who is convicted as a further sex offender, but the recidivism concern is with someone who commits a further offense, whether or not he is caught. Yet, if he is not caught, his subsequent crime does not affect the data on which this. Yeah, it it can't even be calibrated because it's not even included.
The static 99 calibrations are based. Matthias incorrectly scored all of Dittmer III's psychosexual tests. Even taking the test Matthias administered at face value shows that a 27-year sentence is warranted because once the scores are accurately recorded, he demonstrates a higher risk than he claims under his own deeply flawed tools. Now, that's them saying that about John. He's flawed.
I wish we could see the test.
He's flawed. Matthias failed to increase Dittmer III's score to account for prior offenses. He also failed to increase Dittmer's score for stranger victims, meaning people he didn't know. Notably, Matthias placed a question mark next to the stranger victim, which would have increased his category to moderate high. This is dangerous. John, you're dangerous to society.
Yeah, there's definitely some skeletons in his closet. And I would say that looking at what he did during those breaks, because it's very strange for a man to have such a long break in time and not working.
Had Matthias correctly scored his static 99R, he would have scored in the moderate high risk category. On the Vassar 2,
Clearly,
Matthias did not increase Dittmer's score.
Clearly, he was paid some money here. Clearly.
For violating release conditions.
You know, I worked at a substance abuse facility where I had to write reports for people that received that were drinking and driving. I always had to the owner of the facility wanted me to recommend counseling for every single person that came through. And there were a few people that I just didn't feel needed it. I you know, like in getting the information, I feel like, you know, they didn't need it, but it was forced. It was literally forced. And if I didn't want them to do it, because I had to write the report for the court, and then sign it. There was one time where I said, I won't sign that because he changed my report. And I said, I will not sign that. I won't. So I'm just saying, I believe there are shady people out there. And I can say this now because this man's dead and, you know, but yeah. There is a possibility, and I'm not saying John did it. I'm not saying this is all just my opinion. This is allegedly. This is like, again, for entertainment. This, you know, I'm not saying he did it or didn't do it. It just, to me, sounds slanted. Like my eyes are sliding sideways. There is a possibility that JM was involved in some of these boys. Oh, yes. I've heard that too. I've heard that, and it would be very interesting to know if he was somehow connected to Jody Hildebrandt. Hi, colleague. I'm feeling so much better after getting that taken care of, although it won't be. I don't know what happened. I haven't had a real issue with him in a while, but hearing him say blatant lies in court today reminded just how much I think Lauren has BPD allegedly. P.S. Hey, everyone. Yeah. Just allegedly, just in our opinion, I believe Lauren has BBT too, because BDP. I feel like she borderline personality disorder because my mom and my grandma had it. My mom has it. My grandma had it pretty bad too, and I can, if I want to, I can. I know how to drive a person crazy by being my mother. How about that? I know how to do it. If I you know, I was taught how to be a BBT, but I don't believe I am one, but I can recognize when I'm displaying some of my mother's traits. there, and when people are displaying them towards me, it's like I think it's my button when somebody is a borderline around me. It's my button. I run. I run. There are shady and bad doctors, worked ER 31 years, so you know too. Seen too many good and too many bad. I know. But like when I had a content creator coming after me, and it was relentless, and people would say, well, why do they even have supporters? And it just would crack me up because it's like, well, do you think they're the only bad person in the world? I mean, don't you think there's other people out there like them? So I guess the trick is just to pay attention to your gut, because I feel like those kind of people do set off bells in your gut, and just try to pay attention. Oh, you have one. I'm so sorry. I'm so appalled by this case. John had mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. Exactly. Well said. What are whose traits? I'm just shocked. They're going up, but I'm not really that shocked because, like, we did a live and people, we did a live where we went into their live, and they were deleting comments, and they were so overly moderated that I don't think most of the people in the live even knew what was going on, because people were asking what's wrong with your face in a very loving way. Like, you don't look well. Are you okay, Lauren? What's wrong with your face? And they finally had to tell him to stop talking about her face. And you guys were like, even when I was talking about it, some people were like, I don't like talking about the way she looks. Well, I'm just reporting what people were talking about, right? So even the benign comments were about the way she looks, and it's not looking good.
During the past 5 years, Dittmer III also had multiple child victims, and Matthias documented it in his report. He documented that there were multiple victims, but didn't include it in his scoring. And lastly, Matthias failed to increase Dittmer's score for the serious life disruptions based on Dittmer's substance abuse during the last 5 years in the community. Matthias contemplated scoring Dittmer 3 as a 2 versus a 1 for this particular question. In the pretrial services report and his sentencing memorandum, Dittmer discussed his drug use. Based on Dittmer III's self-report, a score of 2 should have been applied. Matthias's assessment of Dittmer's severity factor checklist within the Vassar 2 is also incorrect. Dittmer committed a hands-on offense by forcing his 7-year-old relative to touch his pee in 2016, which was not identified by Matthias in his scoring. Oh my God.
God almighty.
Ultimately, if the Vassar 2 had been correctly scored, Dittmer the 3 would have scored in the moderate high-risk category. You got to wonder if this was even deliberate.
Yeah, see, she's questioning it too. Well, my mom's, it's like mood changes happen. I remember, this is how I'm so good at reading people. I had to read her moods, and you just never knew what you were going to get. And a lot of fear reactions, a lot of like, oh, you can do anything you want to do. And then when you tell her what you want to do, oh, don't do that. You can't do that, and a lot of projecting onto me who I am and what I am. And like, for example, I was terrified of the dark. And every night I would try to get in bed with her. But her story of that was, and she would lock me out of her room. Her story was that I would get up in the middle of the night and be too lazy to go back to bed. Dude, it took me forever to even get up, work up the courage to even get out of bed to go run to her, right? And the door would be locked. So just stuff like that, disconnected, feeling disconnected, always feeling disconnected, always, there's always seems to be, she always had some kind of, I always wanted to feel safe, but she could never provide that. There's just the symptoms of borderline personality. And ultimately, I got really sick, and she invited me to come down to Florida to, I had back surgery, and she helped me out with that. And it looked like I was going to have another back surgery. And I was just really sick. And she talked me into coming to Florida, and ultimately took everything I owned while I was sick, her and her husband, and I had to flee. I was homeless for a period of time, and I'm just rebuilding my life. And I am on no contact with everyone in my family because I can't do it anymore. I can't have them project who I am and feel like a piece of shit all the time, right? So the best thing I can do for me is just to stay away from him, which, as sad as it is, because it is sad. But now I get to choose my own family. I get to build my family. And I've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years, rebuilding my life. So I'm starting up my Feel Good University channel again, and I'm going to start talking about this journey, and letting people know that you can rebuild your life at an older age. And if you have to, you can do it alone. It's not easy, though, and I realize that I have certain um, societal privileges that other people probably didn't have. I grew up in a middle class family, so I have a good sense of self and who I am, and and the white privilege, I believe, is there, alive and well. And so I do have that on my favor. And I'm a woman, and I just really feel like and I'm an educated woman, so I know it's not easy, but I do think it can be done, and I'm doing it. So, but yeah, that's my background in a nutshell. And my mother's husband was abusing me. He was abusing me, and she was watching it happen and denying that it was happening, and it was happening right in front of her. And I was sick. So that's the worst part of it. And it's embarrassing because then I had to go to a domestic shelter and stay there. At 50 years old, a domestic shelter. Everyone thought it was a man abusing me. Nope, it was my mom and her husband. Embarrassing, but and I wanted to take the exit plan, and I tried the exit plan, and it didn't work. And so I said, you know what? If I'm going to live, I'm going to build this into a beautiful life. And when I say I went down into the depths of hell, I tell you, I was in the depths of hell every day for 3 years. That's all I could think about was the exit plan. And my exit plan was something that was like, I lived right next to it. And so I had to fight it every day. Right. So I really believe that when I was down in the depths of hell, that God talked to me. And I think God talks to everybody. I'm not special. I'm not anybody different. But when I was down there, I feel like God showed me the world and what it really is, and this huge facade that we've got going on here in this world. And we've all been living in this huge facade, and we're starting to wake up, and I'm awake. I'm awake. And I see the systems for what they are. And we've all been living under this false God. And, and I feel like I'm awake. And ever since then, I've really wanted to build a beautiful life where I didn't have people like Lauren Matthias. So I guess you guys can kind of see why Lauren upsets me so much, because I kind of have a mom that is like Lauren. Like, I feel so horrible for their son, because like, what is his life going to be like? Like, what struggles is he going to be having? But anyway, I'm getting off on Lauren, and we're on John, and I'm going off on maybe too much information. So sorry about that, you guys. But like I said, I'm tired of covering my ass and like trying to hide who I am. And it's I went through a period of time where I didn't know who I was. I was so wishy-washy because of all the hits that I took, right? I didn't know my ideas, my thoughts, my feelings. I was trying to figure them out again because I knew the world was different. Like I saw it for what it was. And so everything in me had to adjust and change. And I thought about this today about Lauren. Like, could she ever get to that point? Like, could she get to rock bottom where she gets into the darkness where God finally starts talking to her about, like, because I will tell you things about me that I've done in my past that I'm not proud of. I mean, we all have things that we've done. Like when somebody will say something about what I've done, I think to myself, one, well, yeah, that was really horrible. And do I feel sorry about it? Yes. Will I ever do it again? No. And I feel like those are the only ways you can make amends. Like sorry is a two-way thing. You have to say you're sorry, and then you have to show you're sorry by never doing it again. So it's not just as easy as saying you're sorry. It's like you've also got to show that you'll never do it again. And so many people stop at the sorry part and then they do it again and they think, well, I'll just say I'm sorry and that'll be okay. And then the person will accept it. Well, you as the person accepting it is at fault too. You got to stop accepting it. You got to take it for what it is. And when people show their ass the first time, believe them, right? Believe who they are. But also remember and be kind to yourself, because we've been raised in a way where we've been told to ignore our gut. Like somebody will show us and tell us who they are, but we're told, but they're a nice person. They've got a degree. Surely they're not like that, but they just did this. They just suggested that a ex-offender go loose. But he's a professional. Surely he knows more than me. There must be something more to it. No, believe what you're hearing and seeing. This is fucked up. Sorry. God, I'm on a soapbox today. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm trying to figure out like a balance of not talking about myself too much and I don't know. I'm just learning. So I'm sorry if I shared too much.
Highest scoring the Dittmer's test on SOTIPS is also questionable. SOTIPS provides a 16-item list for an evaluator to assess a defendant's relative treatment and supervision needs. He scored Dittmer as minimal or no need for improvement? What? Oh, hells no. This is the worst of the worst, guys.
It is. This is the worst of the worst.
Oh my God.
It doesn't get any, I don't think it gets worse than this. I think child as offense to me is the worst. And I've said it. I don't know if it, like, it's the worst. It's the worst. And he's recommending he get loose, but yet wants Christina on a tether in prison, in a FBI prison, federal prison.
Minimal or no need for improvement. Whew. So he scored them in 4 categories as no need for improvement: sexual offense responsibility, sexual attitudes, and criminal and rule breaking attitudes and stage of change. Dittmer clearly needs at least some improvement and arguably considerable need for improvement. Matthias also scored Dittmer as some need for improvement, but should have also increased to at least considerable need. Matthias scored Dittmer based on his self-report, but Dittmer's conduct between 2014 and 2021, including his persistent attempts to access child erotica while incarcerated, demonstrates that Dittmer is in considerable need for improvement. Matthias's psychosexual evaluation and opinions are based on inaccurate and incomplete information. In addition to the problematic and incomplete tools discussed above, Matthias's psychosexual evaluation was also based on Dittmer's self-reported history. But that self-reported history lacks vital details of Dittmer III's conduct, including Dittmer's hands-on victimization of a
Does
7-year-old.
this kind of remind you of the Johnny Depp trial when that weird psychologist was on and he never actually met with Johnny Depp? He just evaluated him off of his movies. Remember that? Does this not remind you of that?
Relative, and Matthias either misunderstood or manipulated the discovery in Dittmer III's statements to arrive at the opinions and conclusions detailed in his evaluation. Matthias also used the paraphilia scale survey to assess Dittmer's pedophilic interest and claimed that, quote, research has consistently shown a correlation between paraphilias and sexual recidivism. This survey...
This guy right here.
Mr. Depp's other portrayals in movies, did that affect your analysis of processing speed?
Only I've seen him interact on interviews, and that was it.
Right.
When he wasn't in movies.
Right. But Willy Wonka doesn't matter to you? You see him in that movie, Charlie and Chocolate Factory? Did you look at that one when you were comparing his processing speed?
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
You have to answer questions. Yes, sir.
No, you'll be happy to know I didn't see Willy Wonka I didn't see 21 Jump Street when it happened or whatever.
So yeah, that's what it reminds me of a bit.
It should be disregarded to Dittmer. Dittmer's self-reported answers are unreliable and do not align with his actual conduct. For example, Dittmer claimed in the survey he was very repulsed by the phrases have sex with a girl aged 12, 14. However, his conduct contradicts this self-reported answer. Oh, John, you are a disgrace. The other sexual interest inventory Matthias used was the screening scale. Revised, Matthias' scoring on this inventory was incorrect, as Matthias did not account for the 7-year-old relative victim. The additional unidentified victims from Dittmer's Snapchat and the additional victims in his CSAM collection. According to Matthias' score of 2, Dittmer had, quote, some potentially moderate pedophilic and or hemophiliac sexual interest.
Moderate? This is not moderate.
However, Dittmer's true score, which is double that of Matthias' score, demonstrates Dittmer had more serious pedophilic interests than Matthias documented. Moreover, Matthias failed to utilize, quote, the single biggest predictor of sexual offense recidivism, the palometric assessment, or PPG. Oh my God. The PPG involves the direct monitoring of sexual response when viewing or listening to sexual stimuli. Matthias failed to administer this test and relied solely on Dittmer's uncorroborated and frankly contradicted self-report
Why wouldn't he administer that? Well, I mean, my answer would be he was given something for this, for not, seems to me.
Suspect. God. He didn't even use the most reliable and biggest predicting test. The question is, though, can he do the job? And he just didn't.
Yeah, that's what the question is can he do it or did he just not do it? That's like the real question there. I want to read this. I want to see what this last part says up here. Matthias' evaluation is also based on an incorrect reaction or manipulation of the history and characteristics of Dittmer. For example, Matthias incorrectly stated that Dittmer disclosed sexual abuse as a toddler. Matthias also concluded that Dittmer compulsive child pornography usage can be explained by his past sexual abuse as a toddler, and though his probable exposure to his father's child pornography around the age of 10 or 11 years old. However, these opinions and conclusions directly contradict the evidence and information available to Matthias, including Dittmer's own Dittmer never disclosed sexual abuse. It was Dittmer's mother who made the allegations of abuse based on a dream she had. Oh my gosh. Based on a dream, and had no recollection of any sexual misconduct occurring. Indeed, Matthias even recognized that Dittmer told him that his father has never acted sexually inappropriately with him, that he can remember. In light of this information, Matthias' opinion that Dittmer III should be considered a victim of past sexual abuse, making him more amenable to therapeutic rehabilitation rather than incarceration, must be rejected and casts serious doubt as to the legitimacy of the report as a whole. Jeez. Matthias was also aware that Dittmer was first exposed to child pornography at 15 years old by his friends from videos they created of their girlfriends, not Dittmer's father at 10 years old. So he's just going with the reported narrative, even though he knows otherwise. Matthias also documented that Dittmer desired that he had he was aware that Dittmer was first oh wait. I lost where I am. No sexual misconduct occurring. Indeed, Matthias even recognized that Dittmer told him that his father has never acted sexually inappropriate with him that he can remember. In light of this information, Matthias' opinion that Dittmer should be considered a victim of past sexual abuse, making him, oh, I already read that. Matthias also is aware of Dittmer was first exposed 15. His father's usage of pornography after that initial federal search warrant in 2014. Dittmer III compulsive child pornography usage cannot be blamed on conduct that, in conclusion, I don't know. I'm getting lost here. Matthias's conclusion contradict his own summary of evidence throughout his evaluation. Thus, Matthias' opinions and conclusions cannot be trusted. Well, I agree with it. I don't think that John can be trusted at all. At all. Although, I guess we'll have to look into this case a little bit more. See if I can find it somewhere. Wonder if it was reported on at all. I think if you get too close to the darkness, you have to be careful not to allow it to enter you. Yeah, you do have to be really careful. And once it does, you got to get it out of you. And you got to really focus on the light. He's talking about himself and his childhood fantasies. I hope not. Okay, let's keep going. I want to go over to Katie's channel, but let's take a little break. I need to get something to drink. Go check on the little bird, make sure he's okay. Let's go over and do a little palate cleanser. I feel so gross with that. He grosses me out. Over on Reddit, I did see this interesting new, I like the song, the music. I'm a Gen Xer, so I like to listen to music and I like to laugh and joke around. So, not child abuse to this, but I need to shake that darkness off of us. So let's go to Lauren Matthias, Naughty Santa. This is by Mocking Media. Happened. I just noticed that it said on December 28th. This was made by Mocking Media. Let's see if anything happened on December 28th. Nope, I don't think so. And let's do one more. This is one that Jay did. This is Hidden True Crime Christmas song. Sure to be a classic. My favorite part is when John throws his glasses, of course. Oops, I gotta turn the sound up.
John's nuts roasting on an open fire. False alarms nipping at your nose. Holiday spirals climbing higher. While the truth quietly tiptoes. Everybody knows a grift and mistletoe help to make the outrage bright. Checking Reddit with their eyes aglow, clicking live again tonight. They know that Lauren's on her way with a brand new face and claims to say. Soft voice, grave tone, camera tight, selling panic wrapped in I'm right. Then there's Grayson typing fast, calling cops like Christmas past. Murdered at dinner with righteous cries. Watch that narrative fly, fly, fly. And John stays calm, plays the role, nods along while the storyline rolls. Paper trails that don't exist, but invoking the FBI sells the twist. Everybody knows a badge and a bluff help to make the season tense. Nothing says joy like calling the law over an internet offense. They swear it's real, they swear it's true. Santa's checking filings too. John throws his glasses as Grayson spies to see if their shady lawyer qualifies. And so I'm offering this simple phrase for viewers from 1 to 92. Although it's been said so many times, many ways receipts matter. Merry Christmas to you.
Boom. Receipts matter. Unless they don't help Lauren, then they don't matter. Hi, Junie. Have you come to say hello? Did you take a shower? Yeah, you took a shower, didn't you? Yeah, you took a shower. Can you say hello?
Yes.
Yes? Well, then say hello.
Yes.
Yeah. I know you can say yes. Yes, you took a shower. He's saying take shower. And yes.
Yes.
Yes. What can mommy do? What can mommy do for you? Because I'm not finished. I'm like halfway through. We got to talk about. You want to go back in the shower?
Yes. Yes.
But I just shut it off.
Yes.
Why don't you go play in the closet?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. No. You can't do that. Okay, come over here. Okay, so we're gonna keep moving. I do have a little baby. Well, he's not a baby bird, but I call him the baby bird. I do have a bird, so he is going to be joining us for. Yeah, and he's a flock talker, so that means he's going to try to talk over me. So I do apologize if the bird bothers you. I try to keep him out as long as I can, but we live in a very small space, and so it is what it is. So Katie from Rabbit from the Closet, like I said, is a psych nurse. She travels around the world with her husband. I believe they're in Africa right now. She has taken to reporting on this case, and she's going into Dr. John, a deep dive. She has 2 videos on him. I'm showing you both of them, but we're only going to look at one of them. So this was the first one she did. But I do want to show you her opening because I really love the opening to this one. But then we're going to pop over to her other video. Her other one is this one, Hidden True Crime Psych Nurse discusses John Matthias's history with juvenile ex-offenders, since that's what we were talking about just a minute ago. So, but I really like her opening here.
Whoever did this is disgusting. You bullies are destroying the true crime community. Everybody just stop.
So she's talking about all of the hidden gems and all of their negative comments, and she put it to a song.
Whoever did this is disgusting. You bullies are destroying the true crime community. Everybody just stop it now. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Very mature, 12 years old, you think her plight is funny. Fucked up. You're the only bitch here for acting like a 3-year-old. Y'all are all simple-minded, heartless, disgusting individuals. So they're sickening. Leave the woman alone, you childish idiots. Really making this out of someone's pain. Pretty juvenile and pathetic. I'm sure you had no following before this psychopathy. Look it up, you're here to make money off of another's
a little bit of money with the job.
Unfortunately for you, you're looking for views. This comment may add to your sick, twisted thinking and views, but you're honestly gross. Get a life and get some integrity.
Well, I really liked that opening. I wanted to show it, but we're going to pop over to this video, and take a look at this one. Guys, be sure to check and see if you're subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, why not? It's a free way to help my channel out, and I would really love to have you as a subscriber. We're trying to hit 10K by the New Year's. I'm trying to get to see where we're at. I don't know how many subscribers, and we're at 9,713. So we're getting close. We're coming up. We're screaming up on 10K. So I would love that. So please check to see if you're subscribed. And if you're not, please subscribe.
To Rabbit's Closet. Today I'm putting out a video that's a little bit like a live stream, only in video form. And it has to do with this amazing Reddit thread I was watching unfold on Reddit all about John Matthias. I will be making my part 2 of the John Matthias deep dive, but first I'm putting out this video all about John Matthias's job and my own background and interaction with children who have committed sex crimes. My last video was part 1 of a deep dive into John Matthias, like what he does for his job, how he is involved in all of the drama that's going on with the Hidden True Crime channel. My last video got a lot of comments, and only a couple of them were pretty negative, talking about like, why are you doing this to John and Lauren? What is your role in this? This has nothing to do with you. Well, as many of you are aware, about 2 years ago, someone who watches my show, who I've never communicated with, never spoken to, never emailed or messaged, started threatening to take me to court for a restraining order. And I spent months upon months fighting this in court until it was dismissed. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to people talking strangers, talking shit about you on the internet, you can block them, you can get offline, you can block all the email addresses, all the comments, and just move on with your life. That's what you can do. It's hard, but you can.
Katie has actually really endured real stalking and real abuse. Her and Renelle Smith, I actually donated to their legal funds because of being harassed on the internet. So
can do it. But when it comes to someone taking you to court, you can't block that. You have to deal with it. We had 2 law firms working for us for months throughout this shiznit, this absolutely insane situation. I went through a lot because of this person taking me to court in a state that was thousands and thousands of miles away.
She even took down her channel for a little while. I really enjoy her channel. I like her a lot. I like what she has to say. And I was really sad when she went away, but I'm so glad she's back. And she has a new name and a new country, and yeah.
Took my energy, my time, my money, and it was an absolutely ridiculous situation, in my opinion. Too. When I first saw that Lauren from Hidden True Crime made a 9-hour live stream, I had watched them before and I thought that they were a pretty good channel. I didn't watch them that much, but I thought like, poor Lauren. I literally have these messages that I sent to a couple of people where I was like, did you see Hidden True Crime is like getting stalked? I hadn't watched the live stream, but I just saw the thumbnail and I felt bad.
I did the same thing that morning. I texted a few other content creators and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And then I went in and I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
It wasn't until all this shit started coming out about the fact that her version of being stalked is that she was talking shit about people. Those people are like, I'm going to show people your private message.
KJ she is the creator. Yeah.
Messages and what you were saying. And she took out a restraining order on them, took them to court, kicked them out of CrimeCon, started deeply affecting their lives, their livelihood, their social media, their ability to talk to others. She started silencing everyone, making everybody scared to talk about her, that I was like, oh, hell no. I'm going to be speaking out about this. That's why I'm talking about it. It's wrong. If Lauren and John want to drop all of their legal shit against everyone, and if they also want to stop like filing strikes against people for talking about them.
Yeah, KJ is the creator, so she knows what she talks about. Katie does. This is Katie, by the way. KJ is a different creator, as you probably know.
Then I don't need to talk about them anymore on my channel. But the fact that they did all this shit to other people, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to expose what happened. And I'm going to say, I know that they are deeply affecting others and it's wrong. That's where I'm coming from. That's why I'm making these videos. Thank you for listening. Okay, so basically I was on Reddit. I was taking a look at Dr. John's past of working with a program called FACT in Nevada. And it was essentially a program that Dr. John set up in the prison system, in the juvenile prison system, to work with young teen.
I'm actually going to slow this down a little bit.
Offenders. And of course, I found this really interesting because if you don't know, I'll tell you now. I think it was about 15 years ago that I first started working in a facility in a very poor state for children who had committed sex crimes and were sent to live at a 24-hour facility that was outside of the prison system. At that point in time, I had only ever...
I can understand why people would want to work with children with these type of crimes, because it is a concern that they will go on to become perpetrators. So it's really impressive that that's what Katie does.
Worked as like a nurse in the emergency room, pediatric emergency room. So this was very new and different for me. And I ended up really finding a home in working with children who have these kinds of special needs, who have gone through trauma and abuse. And ever since then, for the past 15 years, I have worked in some capacity with kids with some sort of special need. Even if I
think Fresnel is from East Africa too. I wonder if they ever get together. I don't know where Katie is in Africa though, so.
I was like working in a school system, I would pick up like a PRN job at a local institute where kids had been through a lot of really hard things. Now, I worked as a nurse, so that's very different from Dr. John's job as a psychologist. He'd be coming in to provide therapy, to provide an organizational structure to how the program is going to be run. My role as a nurse is very different from that. I'm obviously there to provide any kind of medical assistance that would be needed. So there's a lot of kids in these facilities who may have juvenile diabetes. Maybe they have a broken arm from something that happened to them at home before they were brought to the facility. I'm providing all of the medical support. I'm giving out the medications, providing immunizations, all that kind of stuff. But also a big part of my role in the facility to provide a place for the kids to go where they can get a ton of empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not there to judge them or change them. I mean, this is going to be very different from John's role in this kind of a facility. Yeah. And I just want to make that clear before we get started. One of the reasons that I came to really enjoy working with this kind of a population is because when you're working with children who have committed sex crimes, there have been numerous studies which show that there is a lot of room for therapy to work for these kids. Oh. It's not like an adult who has offended. Children under the age of 18, almost 90% of the time, studies show us that if they commit a sex crime, it's because a crime has been committed against them. And that's what I saw over and over again in this facility. Kids who
I had a family. My first job as a social worker was in foster care. I was a social worker for foster care children, and there was a family where I had this 3-year-old who had to be removed because the 14-year-old brother was molesting him, but the neighbor down the street had been molesting the adult neighbor down the street had been molesting the 14-year-old. So it was just something that had been done to him, and then he started to do it to his brother. And it is often it has been done to them, and they're just recreating what's been done to them to the sibling.
Really had nothing. I mean, they're coming to a state facility in the first place, so a lot of them are on Medicaid. They may be coming from deeply impoverished families. Any kind of love or hope or kindness was such a big deal for them because they hadn't received it before. So for me, I mean, I got a lot out of working in this type of environment where I felt like I was really making a difference. I was appreciated by these children who hadn't had someone ever be there for them the way that I was able to be there for them. So I certainly was getting something out of it as well. We also had a lot of cases which we would consider to be—
I feel like there's a real issue with the life coach system, especially in the United States. It is not regulated in any way, and it's the whole life coach thing is concerning to me. It concerns me the way MLMs concern me. Like, I feel like it's often people preying on other people, and
triumph.
But I mean, I'm sure there are some life coaches out there that are wonderful, but just in the United States, it's very unregulated. And I think that's an issue.
left the facility and was able to reintegrate out into society by the time they were 18. We also had a lot of cases who we knew, they were going to leave the facility and they had a high chance of reoffending. They did reoffend and went directly to an adult facility, and that was very difficult to see. And so I just want to say that I can give a lot of appreciation and respect for Dr. John. Another facet of—
Am I not wrong? Doesn't Lauren tout herself as a life coach too? Am I feel like that. I feel like I read that somewhere, and I feel like I read that in one of her bios.
Of working at a facility like this is that oftentimes you're dealing with children who are hyper violent towards everyone around them. Now, for me, being a female and being in a nursing role, I was definitely more protected than people who are working directly with the kids at all times and maybe providing boundaries. Like Dr. John in his role, I think would be part of the team that's providing a lot of boundaries for the kids. I have seen many staff members get very hurt. I've definitely, on a couple of occasions, I was punched. I've been bitten many times by kids who have like developmental needs like autism, who are also in that kind of a situation. So I've definitely been to the hospital. For
that little 3-year-old that I told you about spit right in my face. He spit right in my face. Yes.
Things that have happened at a facility like this. It's hard to get people to work and stay at this type of a facility because of things like, obviously people getting hurt, but also situations like these kids, oftentimes because they've faced sexual abuse at home as well, will do incredibly inappropriate things. Like you may walk into their room and they're playing with their feces and they throw it at you. It's difficult to keep staff members to work with kids like this and also keep good people.
I still say that kids that are playing with feces, there's some trauma has happened.
Really know how to remain impartial and caring towards kids who do a lot of things that may be really hard for you to deal with as an adult. So I really have to give appreciation and respect to John for even wanting to be a part of this entire system, a system that really struggles in so many ways when it comes to finding funding, when it comes to knowing how to help these kids. And when it comes to the emotional heartbreak that all of the employees may experience at one time or another working there. So I want to put that out there before we actually start, as this comment says, unpeeling the onion of what John was doing at this Nevada prison with juvenile offenders.
Okay, so they're in over his head doing this, because I know for me, I would always have to take breaks from my social work. Like I took a break in my being a social worker I attempted to teach the 3rd grade, which I failed miserably at because I decided to go into an inner city school where there's a reason why you take teaching classes. So I was a failure at that. And then I took a break and I tried to be a paralegal, and I figured out that I am nobody's secretary. I suck at it. I need a secretary. What was I even thinking with that one? But I tried to take periodic breaks and do different things too. Thank you so much, Dr. Von Decay. And you are so welcome. Thank you for hanging out in my chat. I really appreciate your insight, and your $9.99 super sticker means the world to me. Your support means a lot. Thank you. Unless he has ulterior motives. Yeah. Thank you, Betsy, Tag, and hi, Kim. So good to see you. Kim is our lady in blue, rainy one.
The reason that people are talking about John and his job and really going down the rabbit hole on Reddit about what's going on with him is because there are a lot of people who know John and Lauren personally, who are questioning the ethics behind John having a YouTube channel and going on to it and making all this commentary if he's also supposed to be upholding the ethics of being a forensic psychologist. And so a lot of people on Reddit are questioning, where is he even working? What is his role right now? What kind of standards should he be held to? I want to make it perfectly clear. I don't want anything bad to happen to Lauren and John, other than they need to take responsibility for what they've done.
Yeah, there are no flying monkey requests here. This is just all to report what's out there. I would love for Lauren and John to take accountability and to I do believe people can change. I think people can change. I love a good redemption story. I mean, I do. Do you guys think that Lauren or John have the or Grayson? We'll throw Grayson in there too. But I'm very doubtful. I'm very doubtful that they're going to change because there's been no change, no movement. In fact, I feel like they're digging their heels in even further. Even further. Thank you for being a dragonfly for 1 month. Yes, and many more. Exactly.
And stop going after other creators. I don't want them to like have any problems at their job. That's not what this is about. I'm just here to talk about like what's going on behind the scenes, like what has happened in their lives that's kind of led them to being so obsessed with this YouTube channel, with maybe essentially needing it for the money that they're getting from it. And almost like
they are using it as their full source of income. I'm sure of it. And they 100% need it to continue their way of life, because we have looked at the amount of money that their channel is bringing in, and 2 million is a conservative estimate. I'm sure their channel took a little hit towards the end of the year, but I don't know. Well, probably a bigger than just a little, because they're not getting the super stickers. But we don't know what's happening over in Patreon. I think they've closed the ranks over in Patreon. We're not even, I don't even know if they're doing their lives over on Patreon, but their lives that they're doing in public are heavily moderated. And Grayson and Lauren, I mean, as we've showed you in our last few videos, they're working overtime, and it must be a lot of work to have to do that heavy of a moderation. And the chat just moves at a snail's pace because they have to read everything before they let it through.
On being willing to give up his professional boundaries in order to hang on to pulling in this income from this very popular social media account.
I think he should have done that. I think he should, if he was double dipping, then I don't think he should have been doing that, because they were doing so well with their YouTube. And I just think that for me, I feel like I wouldn't want a therapist or whatever that also was on YouTube. I don't know, would I? No, I don't think I would. No, I don't think I would. Would you guys?
So this specific thread talks about how up until 2020, John was working as the creator and organizer of a FACT program in the Nevada prison system. Let's take a look at what the initial poster has to say, and then we're going to go down the rabbit hole. Since everybody is now aware of how interesting a trip on the Wayback Machine can be, I thought I'd start.
Lauren's doing her whole like what Gypsy Rose did. Like, there are no, innocent victims, perfect victims. I feel like she's trying to go to skip the part about apologizing, and she's just going right to the part of forgiving herself. Like, she hasn't given a meaningful apology. She's skipping that part and then just going to the forgiveness of self, because nobody's perfect. I feel like that's what's happening. And that's convenient, right? That's like, to me, that shows no growth whatsoever. That shows a borderline personality disorder. And this is just my opinion. I'm not diagnosing anyone. It just seems very familiar behavior to me.
Spinning a little bit on a part of Dr. John's professional history that hasn't been discussed in as much detail yet by him or us. His time at Family and Child Treatment of Southern Nevada. From publicly available information, it seems this was the most significant lengthy phase of Dr. John's career, over 10 years.
It would be very uncomfortable for that. Just very uncomfortable. It's weird. I don't know.
Here's how it is described in what appears to be the latest version of his bio, archived from their website in September of 2019. Dr. John Mathias, PhD, Clinical Supervision. FACTS Clinical Director, Psychologist John Mathias, PhD, graduated from Princeton University with high honors for his undergraduate work and with distinction from the University of Southern California with a doctorate in psychology. He has been actively practicing as a therapist since 1995, and he has worked with child sexual abuse and childhood trauma for over a decade. Dr. Mathias's extensive research and training has included work with post-traumatic stress disorder for both children and combat veterans, substance abuse therapy for adolescents and adults, vocational rehabilitation, group psychotherapy for numerous clinical populations, sexual offender groups for juveniles and adults, couple and family interventions, play therapy, expressive therapies. His research has supported the strong connection between family violence and its adverse impact upon child development. He developed the innovative FACT Family Challenge program that incorporates experiential and family group work in 2007 to challenge the families of childhood sexual abuse victims to strengthen their family bonds when faced with adversity and to support the victims as they undergo treatment. He is currently a licensed psychologist in Nevada, and he has been the clinical director of family and child treatment since 2006. Dr. Mathias is in charge of supervising FACT, licensed clinical social workers, marriage and family therapists, and interns from UNLV and the University of Phoenix that achieve their clinical practicum hours working with the therapists to facilitate FACT programs. Now, another post made just I think like 35 minutes ago, so it's hot off the press, shows that there was a thesis created by a UNLV doctoral student who worked with Dr. Mathias. And in that thesis, he's talking about how the FACT program actually shut down in 2019 because they were really struggling with getting it to work, to show results for these kids. I'm sure there were also funding issues as well. And the doctoral student actually talks about having to stop working with Dr. Mathias and go to work under someone outside of the prison facility to finish the rest of his clinical time. So we know that this was a big part of Dr. John's career, doing this whole FACT specialized type of therapy in the prison system, and it ended in 2019. That's around the time that Lauren kind of created and started really going after maintaining this huge social media presence through her YouTube channel.
Well, I have heard Lauren say that because it was right around COVID and he was doing this prison stuff, and I don't remember what she was doing.
To go down and take a look at what so many of the commenters have had to say underneath in this thread, because I find it really interesting. I have some questions myself and I have some answers to some of their questions, and I want to go through it with you. So to begin with, we have people questioning, why did Dr. Mathias leave Nevada to move to St. George? If he had a thriving 10-year practice and was allegedly telling Lauren when they met that he lived in Nevada, why did he then cause Lauren to give up her alleged Milwaukee job offer, which I personally opine never was, to Utah, where neither one of them had work? Okay, so my understanding of the St. George issue is that that was close. They moved to Utah to be close to his parents. At least that's something that's been brought up. His parents needed help. They needed care, and John wanted to be closer with them. They had a house there. We'll see.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that about John, and I wondered how they landed in Nevada.
Later that it's actually alleged, this is totally alleged, I cannot confirm it, that Dr. John's parents, many people in his family went to Princeton. Allegedly there was a lot of money, and supposedly people are questioning whether or not John Mathias had some kind of a trust fund set up. If he didn't, then I do believe, just based upon what we're seeing here, again, I can only comment on,
And I wonder if, and this is just me thinking, is Princeton a place that all of his family goes? So was he a legacy? Did he get in that way? Because he doesn't strike me as the brightest bulb in the, whatever, but maybe he was a legacy.
Essentially rumors, but it does look like there was some money involved, that he likely had help support from.
What? It's too early to go night-nights. No, you're not going to take a shower. No, I don't want to turn the shower on. You take too many showers. What's up with the showers? I don't get the showers. I have to ask because he takes so many showers. I don't know if that's like it's normal. I've never had a bird. Well, I've had one bird, but I never had like a bird like this. Does anybody have a bird? He wants to be in the shower all the time. And it's not like he's getting himself wet. He just likes the steam and whatever. You want mommy to turn the shower on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn the shower on. I'll play this and I'll be right back.
His family in the long term, and this may have been something that was like attractive to Lauren, even if she didn't want to live in Utah. But there are a lot of other questions for me about why John would marry someone who grew up Mormon, Lauren Matthias, and then be so interested in moving to Utah. Okay. One of the many situations that sparks up in my mind when I think about this is the situation with Jody Hildebrandt. I'm not in any way comparing John to Jody when it comes to like the abuse that Jody carried out, the weird stuff that she was doing over in Utah, but we do have some evidence of John saying that he had worked with Jody or done some kind of a class with her before. And many people are questioning, was he of the mindset of like, Utah's a great place for me to go and set up some kind of a therapy practice? Because there are a lot of psychologists who are making buku amounts of money over there. On top of that, his family is there. You know, that's what I'm bringing up. He's moving to be closer to his family. Another comment states, I think some of the clues are in the blog post bio posted yesterday.
I think that is an interesting comment, or like, why did John marry a Mormon and then they moved to Utah and now their crime channel is did the Mormons do this? My conspiracy antennas up with those Mormons. Did they like, I don't know, it's weird. That is very interesting. I didn't think of it like that because neither one of them really are Nevada. As soon as I found out where he was from, I knew exactly who he was. Fun fact, I was actually born in the same town. Tell me again where it is. Is it Chicago? Is it Chicago that he's from? I think he doesn't have hundreds of hours or hundreds of cases under his belt. I think he has supervised students who do or have been in a program who have, but he hasn't personally done it. I remember you saying that. Is it, I don't remember where you said you were from. What town you're from? Yeah, Chicago. Okay. Yeah. My mom's husband, I don't have good feelings about Chicago because he was from Chicago. He died last September, by the way.
He does seem to have some kind of a fascination with the West and nature. He bought his house in St. George in 2011, around the time that he was playing around with the heroic Odyssey idea. So this is something that comes up frequently with Dr. Matthias. And I have to be careful how I say things and what I say, because once again, I understand that Dr. John is working with a population that is not easy to work with. The money isn't there. The prior knowledge of how to help them, like a lot of our studies have shown that it's difficult to help children in this type of situation. So John is kind of coming up with his own methods. That's sort of what I'm getting at here. That's a lot of what this video is about, is I want to look at how John was creating his own ideas, his own organizational model of how we can help kids who have been through like sexual trauma and committed sexual crimes against others. And some of that plays into John's whole entire psychology about how he was going to take on a Batman role in his life. And he begins to create this idea that you can take kids out into the wilderness, you can take their families out there, and you can create this whole program around a heroic odyssey.
Okay, so this is the wilderness program.
Says he probably wanted to launch something like this for a long time, didn't take the leap until he had someone else to share the economic load of supporting the household. I also suspect that he has a trust fund of some kind. Directly under this, the poster writes, probably he saw the Jody Hildebrandt mansion and thought to himself he might snag himself the hot young journalist and make bank by hopping onto the Mormon sex addiction therapy bandwagon, except he refused to convert to Mormonism, so he failed to launch. That a lot of this is making like connections that are pretty, far apart. I am not trying to say that John was like, I'm going to be just like Jody Hildebrandt. That's not what's going on here. I do think that there's some indication he may have recognized that Utah was a good place to kind of find a way to connect with people who have gone through, some kind of religious trauma and more.
You do hear of the wilderness camps, and they seem to be in Utah and those, in more of the desert type places. So yeah, if the Mormons are sending their kids to those type of camps, then yeah, Utah would be the place to go.
Mormonism, and to use this connection as a way to get a lot of people to come and see him. Now, it's been talked about by Lauren that actually what ended up happening is that Dr. John was kind of pushed out of the scene in Utah when it comes to providing therapy for Mormons, because people like Jody Hildebrandt, who identified as being Mormon, they had already cornered the market. People like Jody were being sent all of the Mormons who needed some kind of therapy by the church itself. So John was losing out on clients because he wasn't Mormon. In this thread, they're also able to talk about how it has been.
But when did Lauren say that? Because is that trying to cover your ass after what came out about Jody and this is just all me spitballing, free thinking, allegedly, right? Like, are they covering their own butt because something's going to be coming out? And, like John was blackballed, yet John was working with them at one point. Is that, I don't know.
Confirmed that John was kind of thought of as an informal adjunct professor at UNLV. He did oversee like several people writing their thesis and trying to get some clinical hours, but it's unlikely that he was really paid for it. It was kind of like a voluntary type of situation. It didn't pay well. And they're kind of asking like, what is the financial situation and how badly do Lauren and John really need this YouTube channel? Many people believe that it was actually Grayson, Lauren's like producer and assistant, who has made comments about John being a trust fund kid. Now, I can't confirm that, but a lot of people believe that John had money, which backed him from the beginning of all this. Obviously, he was able to go to Princeton. And I'm sure
he was able to go to Princeton, and he did own his own house somehow. So I don't know. To me, but was he a trust fund? Did he get scholarships? We don't know any of this, right?
Cost a pretty penny, as well as it's possible he may have had a legacy there with his family. Again, this is all alleged, but there is some information backing it all up. There are many who are speculating that John put a lot of his trust fund into backing the hidden true crime company, which I'm sure needed some kind of collateral.
Well, that definitely, if he put all his money into the company, that would change the whole, I'm the breadwinner, Miss Lauren, because who started the company, right? Who started the company, Miss Breadwinner?
Order to even get, because a big part of YouTube channels becoming wildly popular is that they oftentimes start feeding money back into YouTube to have their videos pushed to the top of the food chain when it comes to who you're going to click on when you search that topic. They have to pay a lot of money for managers, having people like Grayson work for them and do some of the work, because it would be impossible for someone like Lauren to churn out this much content without help from people working underneath her. Going down in the thread, we just hear a lot of talk about things like John.
I feel like they have a lot of people. I feel like it's just Grayson, and then here and there she paid people for artwork, but I think they do I think Lauren does a lot of the work herself, to be honest with you. Although, yeah.
John's father is known for having created a scholarship at Northwestern University, and he went to Princeton as well, allegedly. This individual says, there we go. It certainly explains his entitlement. Actually being entitled in that regard inevitably makes you feel entitled, and and consequently also behave entitled. I think this is something that we see on the Hidden True Crime.
Shoot, I didn't cover this for 3 days and I feel like I'm behind, and I know he hasn't done it for at least a week, or a week or two. So I imagine he feels way behind.
Podcast. Yeah, there's some issues that I've known about since the beginning. You know, John is someone who he tries to remain professional, but when all of this came out, both John and Lauren, they kind of acted like we're entitled to our privacy, even though we've never given it to anyone else. They acted incredibly hypocritical.
It kind of reminded me of the Royals and their privacy tour, as they, you know, like did their 9.5-hour live, then did their Patreon, then went on Trisha's channel, then Duty Ron. They didn't want us talking about it, but they, you know, and then they got over it, right? When nobody agreed with them, then they got over it. You know, they're over this. They're past the most terrifying year of their life, and they're over it. And we should be too. And we shouldn't be talking about this
around everything that was happening. And it shocked many of us. Like, how can you say that people can't talk about you, or that some kind of a social media, like another YouTube channel, can't show up at your trial? Like, what are you doing here? It seems like rules for thee, but not for me. Okay, and a lot of John Matthias's like social media posts, and even like in interviews that he's done throughout many different YouTube channels, he's made comments about how he wanted to spend time utilizing the outdoors in a therapeutic capacity. And that's why he really wanted to move to Utah, because he felt like this was a great place to start a program, and that he would still travel to places like Las Vegas to do evaluations in prison.
He might have gotten a football scholarship, but does he strike you as that great of a football player? He doesn't strike me as that great, but I don't know, maybe.
And jails.
That's just a perception, observation on my part. I don't know what kind of football player he was.
Commenters are also pointing out that a lot of John's ideas, they're kind of like old school. There are many people who came before him, many professionals who wanted to create the same type of program, who did create it, and it didn't work. Lately, we've heard in social media extensively about wilderness programs that have been abusive and inappropriate, and many of the people who attended them were like, this was the worst situation in my life, and it didn't help me. There are some people on Reddit who have found Dr. John's dissertation, his PhD dissertation, and they say that it's about the topic of family domestic violence. And from what I've seen and read, like small portions of it, it seems like it wasn't anything groundbreaking. But I do think that John has repeatedly kind of propped himself up on Hidden True Crime as being someone who is doing some really special things in his field. I want to read this comment to you, and I'd love to hear about your own opinions down in the comments below. This individual says, while we haven't discussed this in detail before, it has been brought up. And to be quite honest, this is exactly what I imagined. I see nothing wrong or weird here. Of all the things we have discussed about John so far, I find his attempted work with teenage porn sex addicts to be the most, if not the only, preposterous element. While I can see a need for helping teenagers develop their sexuality in a healthy direction, I think discussing and treating it in terms of porn, sex addiction, obsession is ludicrous and potentially harmful, because shame, once instilled, is very difficult to get rid of. Also, the very idea of those camps is problematic in itself. I'm glad his little project didn't find favor with the local Mormon community, although it was clearly designed for them and their ideas regarding sexuality. But the fact he ever tried to implement it is bad enough. I will assume it was mainly aimed at teenage boys. And on that note, and I'm going to stop there because the comment goes on to talk about their child, and I don't really care about any of that. The comments turned to talking again about Jodi Hildebrandt, because I really hadn't heard.
Do you think that this whole wilderness thing was also a Lauren idea? Like, she thought this would be a great money-making thing for John?
About this kind of intervention and therapy happening in Utah with Mormons until the Ruby Frankie case, you know, was cracked wide open, and Jodi Hildebrandt.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch that. I watched some football docuseries where there is this new brain thing where it's literally eating. It was that Aaron Hernandez. There's something that was wrong with his brain, and there's other football players, and it makes them become violent and whatnot. But I don't know.
insane therapy style was exposed. It's crazy to me that John and Lauren, they covered all of that. And kind of in the background, it does sound like John had some just very light, some lightly similar ideas to what Jodi was thinking about. I don't believe that he is just like Jodi Hildebrandt in any way, shape, or form, but maybe like if he would have had a lot of success like Jodi, he would have created a program in which we'd be talking about how like it wasn't working, much like Jodi's program. But again, two totally different people, different scenarios.
What do you guys think? We're going to stop it right there. Like I said, I will put the link to everything that we view down in the YouTube show notes. If you guys want to watch it, you can. What do you guys think? Does he give off Jodi Hildebrandt vibes to you? I mean, he could have very well likely turned out to be that if his program had become successful, like Katie said. I agree with that. I don't think he's there because Jodi's a demon, right? What she was doing. I believe that there are demonic attachments to people have demons attached to them, and she definitely had something attached to her. Because to do that in people that do it in the name of religion are even more evil, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. Someone else said that he had a football scholarship, but I don't know. I'm not into sports stuff. So I just saw a photo of him in his football uniform and I thought, he didn't look like much of anything to me. But I mean, I also am slanted right now. So I wasn't coming at it with fresh eyes, I guess. I think he's been brainwashed. Yes, Jodi vibes, no doubt. Yeah, I think he's been brainwashed too by Lauren. I think he's I think he took on a Mormon wife because he couldn't get I think that's Lauren was as good as it got for him. I really believe that. I ran track in high school, but was not good enough to even consider college. I got merit scholarship for college just on my academics. He just doesn't look like he would be good enough to be a Princeton football player for a scholarship at that. But I'm being very, I guess, judgmental with my eyes because I am judging him with my eyes when I say that. And also judging him with how he acts. And but maybe he has the ability to plow into people with no problem. And I don't know, and can run fast. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a sports person either. The way she does, just like the Cox family who enabled Lori, so are everyone else who's defending LM and are enabling her. The people that are defending her, I just have I don't get it. I think did open the wilderness camp. He went bad and he scrubbed himself off the internet. It's just too weird. He has scrubbed after 2019. Yeah, maybe. That's a good point. Maybe that happened too. Because it is weird. And maybe that's what he was doing during that time when there's nothing in his resume. Maybe he was doing his wilderness thing. He blew up at Lori Hallis, interrupting him, throwing his glasses. I don't think Dr. John is demonic, but he is greedy and unkind and not smart. Yeah, I don't think he has a demonic attachment like Jodi, if you believe in that kind of stuff, which I do. They're greedy and selfish, but not demonic. You don't believe he's a sadist? Jodi definitely is demonic. Yeah, and it was she was on her second marriage. Very interesting. I think he was unsuccessful in his career, and Lauren came along with her Mormon culture that was ripe with kid camps for helping wayward kids When that backfired, he went to the channel as co-host. Yeah, I don't think he definitely wasn't making that much money working in the prison system. So I think he accidentally picked his glasses from the kids section. I don't like what he's done to his hair either. Whatever he's doing to his hair is not looking good. This explains why Lauren married an overweight, sweaty lizard tongue guy. You know, I saw too, I was watching something on Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and you know how she's got that tongue jet. A nurse said that people that have high, um, uh, oh, what's that? I had it right in my, what is that plate on in your mouth? Your upper plate. It's called something. People that have a high upper plate do that with their tongue for some reason. It's called something. So maybe he has a high. I wish I knew what that upper plate in his mouth was called. I wish I could remember what it was called. Also, COVID started when they opened. Yeah, they started with COVID. Was the camp unsuccessful just because he didn't make money, or was there some? Oh, I don't know. I wonder. I don't know. I don't think anybody's ever even landed on the fact that the camp, like, I haven't seen anything on the camp. It's just rumored that he actually opened up the camp. Or have you guys seen anything on the camp? That's the only part of their story that makes sense to me, that John got laid off at the prison when COVID happens. Yeah, that sounds about right, right? Because yes, of course, the prisoners were still, yeah, but they were all on lockdown and they didn't need as many people there. Lauren said it was because they weren't Mormon. When did she say that? I'd like to see where that was said. If there was a camp, it would have to be controversy because he is scrubbed off the internet. And I wonder why he was scrubbed off the internet. Dumb question. I have been here for the entire ride. All of this is because of Lauren's nasty insults and the fear of being exposed. That 9.5 hour pity party was karma. How unbelievable. Yes. Yes. She started this all. Nobody would have known anything about Christina. But she did this. And Lauren and John, they all they just all egged each other on in this situation. I mean, I can't say one is worse than the other because I think they're all three they're all three feeding off of each other. But I look at Dr. John, and you're supposed to have an education in this type of stuff and see through this at least, but it's just proof. Like I've said this before, like I've just recently started using my own degree that I have on my family and myself to try to figure out this, long standing issues of like, why are we like this? Right. And I'm just now using it because it's the hardest thing to do. I mean, I can help run another person's life, but obviously my life got so bad that I couldn't even, run my own life. It fell apart for me to have to be sitting here trying to build it back up. But it's just proof that it's so much easier to solve other people's problems sometimes than your own, right? It's so easy for Dr. John to give this life advice, but obviously it's not so easy for him to take it for himself and to have real perspective on his role and Lauren's role and Grayson's role and how insane this is. Although he's pretty much disappeared. Like he did do that analysis on the Melanie Buzzard, but he didn't look comfortable at all. And he's not doing live stuff at all. So, and even in his one interview. I think it was a Patreon interview afterwards where he was all smiles and stuff. He talked about going into a grocery store and someone recognizing him and him being so nervous, like, what do you recognize me for? And luckily it was all good stuff, but I mean, he was shitting himself because someone recognized him in the Whole Foods or Trader Joe or wherever the F he was, right? So Dr. John is not comfortable, and I think he's pooping his pants most days about all this, and or balled up in a circle saying, why me, right? Actually, I think he's the one probably taking care of the son, so I think he's continuing on with the daddy duties. And I think that because of the June body cam when he told her to get your shit together, I'm taking our son on this vacation and you figure this out. But no, they haven't covered the Lori Vallow appeal now, have they? They've like stayed far away from that, except they did cover Chad Daybell's cousins removed twice dead babies, whatever, right? They made sure to cover that. And I'm being very sarcastic. Horrible thing about the baby, but it's very strange that they managed to cover that and didn't cover their bread and butter, which, you know, like would be, okay, Junie. He's winding down. He wants to get ready to go night-night. Although, you guys, Junie slept until 4 a.m. this morning. He slept till 4. No, maybe we can get it to 5. I'd be very happy if he would sleep till 5 a.m. Look at her body language when they are on. She doesn't look at him. She keeps her arms down and stiff. She did sit closer to him in this last one that they did. Like, but I feel like they're trauma bonding in a way. I feel like they're going through a bit of trauma bonding because I feel like he feels the world's against them, and they're but that'll eventually turn. And I don't know. I don't want to see anybody break up, so I hope they can work out their problems, but I think there are problems in paradise. Can anyone tell me what his disability is? I don't know. I've heard it's high blood pressure, but I don't know what it truly is. Yeah, she does look at him like not with I love you eyes, or you know, I trust you. You're my rock, my shield. She does not look at him like that at all. You want a June bird? He is a green cheek conure. His mom and dad have clutches. I got him from a breeder here in Florida, and his mom and dad have clutches usually in the spring. So if you wanted a June brother or sister, I can put you in touch, but you would have to promise me to treat him like they were your own little child, because birds are so much freaking work. There's so much work. It's like having a kid. Not kidding. We're on a schedule. He gets ready. He winds down. We have to wind him down. He's also with the light too. It's getting darker earlier, so he wants to go to bed between 5 and 6. In the summer, it's between 7 and 8, and sometimes he'll push it to 9. But then he's been waking up lately at 3 a.m. and, you know, we've got to stop in the day. Got to get him his treats in the morning. We got to stop and set him up, get him somewhere to play, get him situated, then play with him. Then, you know, like, it's just a lot. I never knew birds were like so much work, and it makes me feel incredibly guilty about the bird I did have. Like, I never did this with them, but he's a talker too. His mom and dad were talkers. And he says so many words. And that's another thing. It's like having an animal that you can actually have a conversation with. And I know, you know, dogs and cats, you can learn their language, but like having like a word conversation where they will say the words back to you is wild. It's just wild. And sometimes he's saying words and I know he doesn't know what he's saying, but other words, he knows exactly what he's saying. One thing that annoys me though is he I ask him if he's thirsty because he won't drink out of a water dish. So all day I'm asking him if he's thirsty because I don't want him to get thirsty, right? Because he won't drink out of his water dish. So I'm always offering him water, but he doesn't realize that does thirsty doesn't mean also he's hungry. So I hear thirsty all the time, and I don't know if it means if he's hungry or if he's actually thirsty. That's what we're working on. I'm trying to get him to say hungry. He says, well, he says, Junie's a good baby. Mommy loves the bug. Mommy loves bug. Buggy, June bug. I do vocal warm-ups. And so he'll sing like woodchucks, how many woodchucks. So he can say about 4 words in a row. That it's about as many words as he can do string together. So he'll do how many woodchucks, woodchucks, woodchucks. And he does rubber baby buggy, rubber baby bumpers. He'll say treat. He'll say turn shower on. Junie's a good bird. He loves his name. He loves his name. I love his name. So he says, oh, this is something that he does that's really cute. When he's sleepy, he'll turn to me and he'll say, Mommy's sleepy. And I'll be like, no, I'm not sleepy. You're sleepy. And he's like, Mommy's sleepy. He'll do it just like a kid. He'll never admit that he's sleepy because I never walk around saying I'm sleepy. I'll say, is Julie sleepy? But he changes it to Mommy. Little stinker. He's funny. Anyway, that's I'm gonna do some lives. I need to get my hair cut. I don't know. I don't know. I always have an excuse why I'm not coming on camera, but I am gonna start coming on camera more. And you'll see him more. But I do have a video up where he joined me on my last live. He comes and flies in and says hi and then flies away. So if you want to see him, there's a little video up on him. It's really interesting having a bird. I love them. I love having them. And they live he can live up to, in captivity they live up to 35 years. They live older, I think, out in the wild, but they can live up to 35 years. That's another thing you have to consider. Birds live a long time, so you have to put them in your frickin' will. You had a cockatiel and they can learn to say a few words and are very needy too. Yeah. They can whistle really well. Cockatiels are really good at whistling. Oh, he likes to do the bacon song too. I haven't done that in a while. Bacon pancake song. He loves that one. He loves songs. We were singing Little Bunny Foo. I'm an ex-camp counselor, so I was singing Little Bunny Foo Foo to him today, but doing it Little Bunny Junie Bug, just changing it because he likes when I put his name in it. Okay, guys. Well, that's enough for about Junie, but that's my little bird. He is going to be 3. He'll be 3 in April. April 6th. His clutch date was April 6th through the 8th. I'm not sure which day he hatched, but his hatch date was the 6th through the 8th. See, your sister-in-law inherited a bird. Yeah. The bigger parrots, they live longer. They live 60, 80 years. They live for a long time. So if you get a even bigger, like a macaw and those type, they live even longer. So, but it also is nice because I just lost my heart dog, Maybelline. I had her for 14 years. I got her when I was social working. I got her from one of my clients. But I just feel like maybe I have longer with him, and hopefully I have longer with him because 14 years wasn't enough with my little girl. So it is kind of comforting too that he could live just as long as I do. You have an Oliver and he will live 60 plus years. What kind of bird is Oliver? This Kid and Me and My Grandkids is one of my favorite movies about talking birds in Brazil and carnival. I love watching birds. If you guys like monkeys too, there is a group, there is a what is it called? Our Life Adventures or something like that. They live in Tennessee and they have monkeys. They have dogs, cats, they have kangaroos, they just have all kinds of different animals. And they just got a cockatoo and its name is Rowdy. And I'm just really enjoying watching, and they have Eclipse or something like that, or eclectic or something like that. I don't know. If you like watching, and because I feel like we talk about intense stuff, and that's why in my Feel Good University, I just always feel like you have to balance the darkness that we talk about out with light, and so I will often watch animal videos. I have always tried to donate to another charity or cause with the money that I've made from the channel. I haven't been able to donate a whole lot, but at first we donated to a baby elephant that got hit by a train. We bought the baby it couldn't stand up. And so while it was they were trying to get it back on its feet, and it did. Baby Banny did get back on its feet. We bought it a few bottles, and now we support the Rocky Kanaka Sitting with Dog channel. So I really believe in giving back, but also when I donate or I help other people, it's not a selfless act because it makes me feel good to give and to help others. And so it gives back to me. But I think it's really important to do these kind of things and to learn to realize that it makes you feel good to do these things and to, yeah. So I think it's important, and animals have always been very important to me. I love animals. So, okay, guys, I'm going to head out. Thank you so much, Kim, for coming in and moderating. Thank you guys for coming in and saying hi and hanging out with me. Yeah, Junie's a cool little bird. And it's so funny because I hear my voice, my tone. Like that's another thing. If you get a bird that talks, you hear your voice coming back at you. And it's always interesting to me. I'm always happy the things that he does say, because it proves that I'm not, sitting around here saying awful things, right? Because they say the things that you say the most. The worst thing he says is every morning I wake up to eat the baby, because I made the mistake of when I first got him. I'm a Gen Xer, and I was saying a dingo ate my baby because I was calling him a baby bird, and then it got to a dingo ate the baby, and then we just did. He switched it to ate the baby. So every morning he screams, "Eat the baby." I wake up to that every morning. So you do need to be careful what you say, but I mean, at least he's not screaming profanities at me every morning. It's just "eat the baby," which, wow. If I did pass away and he went to somebody else, can you imagine getting a bird? That actually makes me laugh. Getting a bird that every morning he screams, "Eat the baby." Oh, they would think I was a horrible person. Oh my gosh. That's so funny though. Okay, anyway, on that, I gotta go. All right, because I gotta go take care of the baby. All right, guys, I love you guys so much. You have made a huge difference in my life. And if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I don't care. I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, Kim, for moderating. Bye, guys.
Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out.
With you tonight, and it feels fine. Feels fine. Baby, I'm dancing with you tonight. Here in the blue, I'm dancing and falling out, hoping for some time with you.